Hello there. I'm sorry I haven't been around for a few weeks, but I've been away and I've had to still continue to do some other bits for Kevin's mum's home. And we've had to meet tradesmen and kitchen people for those final things. But the great news is that it's actually finished. Hooray! We spent this weekend solidly, the whole weekend, tidying up the garden and fitting bath panels and hearth tiles and carpet strips so that the agent can take photos on Wednesday to put the house up for rent. There's still a bit of snagging to do in the new kitchen, but I think that's probably par for the course. And but as I promised, I've taken a video and I'm going to ask Cherie if she'll attach it to the end of this talk. So when you finish the talk, or you might like to go straight for the video, it'll be there hopefully. Anyway, this week I'm reading a book by Richard Rohr called Breathing Underwater. And it's based on the 12 steps used by the AA. And it talks about how when we learn to identify our addictions, embrace our brokenness and surrender to God, we begin to bring healing to ourselves and to the world. And he shows how the gospel principles in the 12 steps can free anyone from addiction, from an obvious dependence on alcohol or drugs to the common but less visible addiction that we all have to sin. And you know, there are many addictions really that we probably don't even realise that we have, where we just keep going back to the same thing. You know, it might be food, opening that fridge door far more times than we should, or even addiction to work, that it can become our whole goal and we can be totally obsessed. So there are lots of addictions that we all have. Anyway, I'm reading the chapter on step 3 and the 12 steps. The 12 steps actually says on step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God. So Richard says in this chapter that we all suffer from stubborn and self-defeating willfulness. It doesn't matter, it does not surrender easily, and usually only happens if it's demanded of us by our partners or our parents or children, or maybe health or circumstances. It's ingrained in us, a willfulness, which you can see in 2-year-olds when they exert their own personality and say, no, I'm not going to do that. And again in the teenage years, when they're trying to forge their path forward into independence. So by the time we reach adulthood, we would have taken control over our own lives in every way. And today our culture respects people who, doesn't respect people who don't take control, does it? And you often hear people saying, I'm a control freak. And they're proud of it. But actually, being a control freak is quite difficult to live with. In Luke 9:23-27, this is the Message version, Jesus says, anyone who intends to come with me has to let me lead. You're not in the driver's seat. I am. Don't run from suffering. Embrace it. Follow me and I'll show you how. Self-help is no help at all. Self-sacrifice is the way, my way, to finding yourself, your true self. What good would it do to get everything you want and lose you, the real you? So Jesus says that we have to let him lead. We have to acknowledge that we're not in the driver's seat, he is. We can try as many ways as we like to achieve our own goals, but at the end of the day, if we want to grow spiritually and learn about ourselves and who we are, then we need to let Jesus take the lead. The great thing about the 12 steps is that it refuses to bless and reward any moral worthiness and forces people to be real and to recognize their issues. And when you go to the meetings, people all say things like, hi, I'm Jody and I'm an alcoholic, or hi, I'm Susie and I'm a work addict. This is what Jesus affirmed in the prostitutes and the outcasts and the tax collectors, and why he met with them. He knew they would do anything to change their lives, but they needed help to do this. They knew that they needed to be forgiven and start again, which we can do with Jesus. I remember feeling like this when I gave my life to Jesus after my first marriage finished. I felt broken and a failure, and that I'd made so many mistakes trying to do life my own way. And I was so grateful to have Jesus come and take the reins and lead me into a new life. I was so broken and hurting that I soaked up all that Jesus had to offer, and I wanted to know so much more about him. When I was involved in running the recovery course, the women's group bit, by default really, because somebody else was supposed to run it, but they didn't turn up, so Kevin said, go on Annette, you can do this. Anyway, I loved every meeting though, because the women were so real about where they'd been and what they wanted to change, and how could Jesus make a difference. It was, and it still is, such a joy to be part of this group of women, as they're so real and they're keen to make changes in their lives to make things different, to make things better even. I often hear them say, so-and-so is not doing so well. They need to get back to step 3 and get back on track. Surely this should be a lesson for all of us when we feel we're having a difficult week or month, to get back to step 3 and look at how we can surrender to Jesus and recognize that we are less than perfect and can only do life with the Holy Spirit leading us along the way. There is no other way. You know, Kevin's favourite place to be is at the CA group, you know, the Cocaine Anonymous group, on a Monday night where 40 or 50 people meet to share about their struggles with addiction. He comes back afterwards and he says, oh, they're so real about their lives and so humble about how they fail. Sometimes it's heart-wrenching and brings me to tears. They've been through so much, but it's a privilege to be in that room. He just so loves it and won't miss it unless he absolutely has to. Richard Rohr says in his book, when churches forget their own gospel message, the Holy Spirit sneaks in through the ducts and the air vents. AA meetings, or CA meetings, have been very good duct work, allowing fresh air both in and out of many musty and mildewed churches. False sacrifice is an actual avoidance of any real renouncing of the self, while looking generous or dedicated. This is also revealed in Jesus' insistence that the temple has to go. The temple is the metaphor for sacrificial religion in his time, and explains why he vigorously releases the animals penned up for sacrifice and all of the selling and buying of God in Matthew 21:12. That follows from the sacrificial mind. This is why Jesus mocks the people putting a great deal of their money into the temple treasury, and praises the widow who gives her mite. As French philosopher and writer René Girard convincingly argued, Jesus came to proclaim the death of all sacrificial religion. He ended it once and for all by offering himself, and abolished the first sort of sacrifice to replace it with a second. Once you see this pattern, it's very hard not to see it for the rest of your life. You know, I've been struggling a bit through this month of August. I'm not sure why, really. Perhaps because Kevin's mum's house has taken longer than I expected. Perhaps because Kevin has taken longer to recover from the chemo than I thought it would take. Or maybe because I'm on furlough and I have no structure to my life. Or maybe because... and I could go on. But all of this is about what I think should happen in my time and not about God's. At this point, I realise I've taken my eyes off Jesus and I'm following my own ideas. Easily done. And this is why we need regular checks to make sure we're on track following Jesus daily. And why we need each other to be honest and tell us. You know, we need someone to say, where are you today? Do you need to get back to step 3 or 4? Do you need to surrender again to God? Do you need to sort out any unforgiveness in your life? You know, the AA does life with Jesus so well, and there are good principles to live with. Have a lovely week. This is where the old garage was, and it's now an empty space to put a car with new gates, all beautifully made. The summer house has been painted by Grace, and she also did the shed as well. And then as you walk up the garden, you see that we've tidied up all the shrubs, and that's where we took the conifer from, that corner. And as you walk up to the house, we've replaced the sliding doors, and there's Kevin, and we've put in a new door. And then, hi Kevin, say hi to the viewers, they're going to be seeing.
Hi viewers.
And this is the new kitchen. So there next to that window was a door which we bricked up, and then we knocked this wall down here, and around the corner we knocked, bricked up another door and left a window so that you could see through to the front door and welcome people in. So this is the living room. It had a big fireplace which we've taken out, and Kevin's just put in some couple of tiles. We've put blinds in the windows. We've kept the carpet. Kevin just put a silver strip in today so you would differentiate between the carpet and the vinyl. And then if you come up into the hallway, there is the window from the other side as you go in the door. And then as we go up the stairs, there's a sliding door into the bathroom. And the bath side is on. And actually I've just seen there's a mark on the floor, I must do that. And the shower in the corner. And this is bedroom 2. New blinds, new carpets, original wardrobes at the Kevin's. This is bedroom number 1, that was Kevin's mum's. We've just put new carpet in and blinds and painted everywhere. And this is the little room, which was full of everything. In fact, it was so crammed we didn't realise it was so big. And this could either be a third room or maybe it could even be a study. So we put blinds in here and a new carpet. So that's us done, hopefully. Window at the top of the stairs.